The three theorems of psychohistorical quantitativity. The population under scrutiny is oblivious to the existence of the science of psychohistory. The time periods dealt with are in the region of 3 generations. The population must be in the billions for a statistical probability to have psychohistorical validity.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of Foundation Analysis, Death and the Maiden. And we are going to get right into it with the episode start. And we start with Brother Day awakening from the jump and being attended by 2 spacers. There is a montage of Brother Day with a monologue by Gale and kind of sets the stage. Demerzel is putting on her face quite literally as Brother Day enters her holdings room, what have you, and they have a bit of a back and forth, and Brother Day asks about the jump and all of that, trying to figure out why they have to go to sleep, because that's an interesting bit of stuff to talk about. And of course, Dem doesn't actually have to go under, but she appears to because she is trying to hide or not reveal who she is. And then they start to go into a breakdown of Luminism and its influence on the galaxy. And then the conversation shifts from Luminism to personal faith, and Brother Day asks Dem why or how they believe. And it's a very interesting little character note for Demerzel. And then we have the landing, which looks absolutely fantastic. No CG was spared. And there is a hesitation from Dem from leaving the ship because she worries that her presence might be unwittingly used against Empire. But Brother Day insists. He says that he needs her by his side in order to be properly informed. So they descend the gangway to a massive square that is sun-baked and looks absolutely beautiful. And there is no one. Brother Day is used to having the throngs of the masses appreciate their arrival. And instead we have Zephyr Halima approach single, a lone person, to greet Empire and his contingent of guards and Demerzella. She offers a cup of water that is made out of salt from the mines of the Holy Planet, and she is at first rebuffed by the guards raising their weapons, but Dem waves them down, and then Empire kindly declines due to safety protocols, and there is a bunch of witty fencing of words back and forth. It is absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate it. Taner Miller, who plays Zephyr Halima, is absolutely fantastic in this role. I think she's great. I would like to see her in more things. Then they cut to Terminus, and it is the crash site, and the Anacreons are trying to pick up the captain from the army, and there is a bunch of dialogue about how you're not going to get away with this. You guys are already dead for what you've done. And the Anacreon second in command says that, of course we are. We're an army of ghosts. Where an excellent framing of, the scars from the Anacreon home planet bombardment. Then we switch over to the Foundation. And now there's the blood that we missed last episode. Because whereas before it looked like they were fencing people in, now people are just getting shot. And we have a fantastic little escape action scene with one of the kids from previous episodes. And they are trying to get into the tunnel, and there's, he was probably going to need therapy after that, but, most of them probably will anyway. They get into the tunnels and are able to make their way to actually where Salvor is locked up in a chair, and they overhear some of the Anacreon dialogue, but of course they don't speak it, but they hear a specific word. And then we have the Anacreons start looking for specific people, as in they are picking a team from the Foundation. And that also explains why they might have needed that commander. Then we have the prison break where the 2 kids break out Salvor, and one distracts them while the other one absolutely beats the piss out of a guard. So yeah, that's a thing. And then we cut back to the Anacreons with the technical staff all gathered, and they are assembling a team by force. You are going to work for us, or bad things are going to happen. But now that we've spent some time on Terminus, we're going to cut back to Trantor in the garden specifically, and Brother Dawn is approaching his female love interest, we will say, his love interest Azura, and he is speaking with her, trying to resolve things, have a through line of communication, an understanding, build a relationship. And while he is speaking with her, he is interrupted by a clerk of the court saying that Brother Dusk is wanting him. And for that, he goes to the hunt, which is where Brother Dusk is. And there is a particularly interesting little bit about the hunt, which is that I'm not sure where it is, because they must have a specific hunting grounds on the palace, because everywhere else on Trantor is absolutely metal skinned. And there's a great little foreshadowing bit about the movement of these beasts, and it's hard to see them with the color, and it's an interesting experience, and it's hard to find them and get them, and we'll see what type of a hunter you are, sort of thing. And they end up splitting ways after Dusk takes down one and then starts to brag, and then immediately Brother Dawn takes down one, and he remarks that it was luck. And Dusk says he'll turn that luck into skill, and Dawn says, I'll take care of it myself. So they split for a, we'll say, friendly competition. So then we cut back to Terminus, and Salvor is being dragged by the kids through the tunnels, and eventually she wakes up and is like, ow. And there is some dialogue getting her up to date on what the kids have overheard, and we learn about the one thing they understood, which was the word Invictus, which is a ship, an Imperial ship. So they make their way to the scuttled colony ship, and as they are exiting, they are jumped by Hugo and Abbas, and as soon as they realize who it is, it's like, oh, good, okay, you guys are safe. So the party has increased, but of course they're going to leave the kids behind because they're kids. But they plan to attack the corvettes because that is where the Anacreons are weakest and don't expect to be hit. So the kids sit this one out, and the Hugo, Abbas, and Salvor head out to take down the corvettes. We then cut to the Maiden, which is, of course, where Brother Day is, and Empire goes and gets a proper welcome reception inside the... They don't actually name the building, but there is basically a giant structure temple thing. So inside there, he gets the proper welcome he was expecting, and makes a promise to one of the other Zephyrs about getting a water reclamation system set up for the planet. And he does that to gain political capital and show his support for the other candidate for Proxima. Then we have Terminus, and they are heading towards the corvettes to attack. Salvor and her dad have a heart-to-heart, and it's really good. Get some great character development from both of them. Then we cut back to the hunt, specifically on Trantor. And Brother Dawn has apparently broken the record, and he has killed many more than on his first time out than any of the other brothers. So that gives him a little bit of a panic, because we are starting to realize that he is a little different. I wouldn't say it's not quite right, but he is different, and he is supposed to be a clone. He's supposed to be a copy, and he is starting to develop things of his own, which is troubling for him and makes him worried about being accepted by his brothers. And if you know a thing or two about hunting and colorblindness, it actually makes a lot of sense, because when you are colorblind, you pick things out more by movement than by the contrast of the colors, and so it allows you to find movement which would make that a target, so making you a quote-unquote better hunter, or at least that is what I have heard from my father, who is colorblind and also is a hunter. So selection bias, I don't know. All I'm saying is, when I heard it, I was like, I know what's going on. And there is a great little bit of dialogue between Brother Dawn and Brother Dusk about how Dusk says that only a man can replace the man. And maybe it's time for me to take you to Gossamer Court. And that is, of course, the pleasure palace, we'll call it, for the Cleons. And there is a recounting of how it all works, which is interesting and unique, we'll say. because it turns out that after the liaisons, after an individual who has come to the court has served out their time, they get their memories completely wiped and sent back. So there must be some sort of good financial incentive to do that, because having your brain wiped for a couple days, not knowing what happened to you, I don't know if I could live with that. So he finds someone who their hair resembles his gardener friend, and they go and retreat to Dawn's room. And it doesn't go the way she expected it to, but he is very kind, he is compassionate, and he says, I'll tell them that you did well, and you'll believe it. And so they talk for a little bit, but it is not shown what they talk about. We then cut to her in the shower, where Brother Dusk is sitting and enjoying the view, where he asks her questions about Brother Dawn. So Brother Dusk might be a little more aware than Brother Dawn is aware that he is. So we then cut back to Terminus, and Salvor has a vision on the way to the position to snipe one of the explosives that are being set up as protection and or destruction of Foundation, or the lava tubes that they use for power. And during that vision, she sees Harry's death, and there's some great character moments between Jared Harris and Alfred Enoch, I think is how you pronounce that last name. Harry Seldon and Ra's Seldon. And we see what happened before Ra's stabbed Harry, how it was not a crime of passion. And that is interesting. There's a great line from Ra's where he's just like, I hate the math. I don't want to do this. He's just like, I know I have to, but I hate it. I don't want it. This is not good. And she is brought out of it when Hugo shouts at her and snaps her out of it, because he has gone to get her because she is exposed, and is able to pull her into cover just before the shootout starts. And that is when her dad has circled around to get the explosive devices to place them. And there is a great action scene. And unfortunately, Abbas has passed away. He has let go. He has completed his mission, and honestly, I think he is happy with how he went. I think the actor did a great job, portraying this sacrifice that is worthwhile, because obviously there is a lot going on Terminus. And so it is sad to see Clark Peters go from the cast, but he was great while he was sticking around, and he will be missed. Then we cut back to Trantor with Brother Dawn and the gardener. So Brother Dawn calls from his room and says that she should come up and see the view from here. He steps out onto the balcony to start pointing to things and asking about them, and explaining how he always likes the organization and the structure that he can see from his window. And he gets the gardener to describe the plants that he has seen, and particularly their colors, which is where we get confirmation that he is in fact colorblind. And that is, of course, a big deal, because there's an explanation of more of the clone and his role, and how he feels he is failing it, or he is incomplete. And there is a lovely kiss, and but before that, there is an offer. He realizes that he needed to confide in someone, but then realizes what that confidence gives them leverage over him. So he muses what to do, and she offers herself, as in steps right to the edge and says, if it were me and I were trying to keep a secret, I would kill me. It's the only way to know, which is a huge sign of trust and or conditioning. So he, of course, does not take her up on that. Instead, he kisses her, and we'll say this is the start of the actual relationship. Then we cut to the hunting grounds, and we see the spy master, and he is looking around, searching, and he finds the kills that were discarded in order to have Dawn not break the record. And then he disappears with a very cool shield cloaking device. As Salvor and Hugo head back to the Foundation, Salvor has a bit of a breakdown about her dad, and there's a great little discussion about belief and self-doubt, and how they have figured out the plan is to take Hugo's ship off planet, because then the Anacreons are isolated and can't do anything. And then we cut back to the Maiden, and it is the funeral of Proxima Opal. And during the procession, the Zephyr, who he has thrown support behind, announces the Empire's promise for the distillation plant. And then, while she is giving her speech, eulogy, what have you, Zephyr Halima upstages her and isolates Empire. She very much just barges onto center stage and then just does her thing, which is probably a faux pas. But her proclamations claim that change and growth are what is important, that the soul needs to be reborn to experience new things, to grow, and that the worst thing it can do is stagnate. During this proclamation about how good it is that the previous Proxima has passed away because she is given the opportunity to learn more, everybody at the end of the announcement or benediction bows, Dem included, but there is a moment of hesitation, and there's a look, and probably going to get brought up in the next episode. Then we cut back to Trantor, and Hugo and Salvor are approaching the ship trying to sneak in, but they are not sneaky enough. They did not pass their stealth checks, and so they get captured. But before anything can really happen, Hugo is able to contact the ship and lock himself out of it, slaving the entire system to Salvor, ensuring that she will survive. And then, of course, they're like, well, we can kill you then. And Salvor's like, I've never flown. I need him as a co-pilot. I need him to tell me what to do. Which makes for a good standoff and gets everybody to live for now. So they load up the team that they have annexed, pressed into service, and head out. And as they're heading out, Salvor takes out her coin and flips it, calls it before flipping it, and makes eye contact with Mira. And then they head out into space to go find what they are going to find what they are going to repair, or do what the Anacreons want them to do in order to guarantee their safety and the safety of the Foundation personnel. And so that is it for episode 6, Death and the Maiden. I don't really have any summation thoughts other than there's probably going to be some dialogue between Dem and Empire about what happened, and it'll be interesting to see what Invictus is, because of course it was referenced, or it is a thing in the books, but it'll probably be different. Anyway, this project is supported by the On the Origin of Battlemechs podcast Patreon. If you enjoy it and want to hear more of my discussion of Foundation, please let me know and possibly give your support there. Special thanks to my friend Treble for the intro and outro. I hope you all enjoyed the episode. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Don't you see? It's galaxy-wide. It's a worship of the past, a deterioration, a stagnation.